Hello, and welcome to my video on why Dark Souls 2 is the best Souls game. I know the title is jarring, especially as I make Minecraft PvP content and sometimes SMP content, and I've never really shown my love for this genre of the game. But by the end of the video, you will end up realising, like me, why Dark Souls 2 is the best game in the Souls franchise. I don't care about anyone else's opinion here. This is my video, my opinion. You can argue against me later. But to me, this is the best game in the Souls franchise. My first point, and I know after that title, I probably shouldn't talk about this, but it is my bias to the game. I love Dark Souls 2 because it is the first game I beat of the Souls genre. Technically, I beat Elden Ring beforehand, but you know, this was the first Dark Souls game I beat. And yeah, that doesn't really fit in with literally the opening I just did, but for this, I need to talk about it because I think it's important to understand where my bias comes in, and that's that's all the bias there is. So you lot can hate me all you want. That is all there is to the bias. The second and arguably the most important thing is I just love the game design and atmosphere. It just constantly feels like perfectly calm, but perfectly eerie at the same time. And I think there's two areas that really do this well for me. Medulla is number one. The opening, the safety of it all, but you still don't feel completely at ease. You've got the well that leads you to the gutter and stuff. You've got shoot-off points to Terraflat. It's so perfectly calm, but you never feel truly at peace. It's great. The second area that does this perfectly for me, and hold your pitchforks back, pretty please, it is the Shrine of Amana. I know, it's crazy, I'm a crazy person for saying this. It's arguably the most annoying area in the base game, and I agree with that, it's arguably really annoying. But I think the mixture of the calm melody and the beautiful scenery and the abandoned village just makes such a perfect dark fantasy location. And yes, don't get me wrong, the monsters, the creatures there are annoying as hell to get through, and it is, I struggled with it in my first playthrough, but to me still, it is almost perfect because of that. It is almost perfect because of the struggle that people have to go through to get through it, and I think it just again adds that dark atmosphere perfection to it. The third point is I love all the bosses really, except for one, maybe. And I know they are clunky and slow and easy, don't get me wrong, I don't enjoy them for the challenge they provide. I enjoy them because they make me feel special when fighting them. And, you know, I was going to make a really bad joke here, so I'm not going to bother doing it. Because it doesn't make sense. Anyway, back on topic. One of the bosses that I think does this really well for me is the Lost Sinner. It is my favourite boss of the entire game. There's none better for it in my opinion. And it's because while I fight it, it feels like a dance. You dodge it, you hit, you counter, you hit. It's perfect. When you feel like when you do the boss hitless, it just feels so great. And don't get me wrong, there are DLC bosses that do it better. Personally, Serous and Fume Knight are better dancers of fighting. They are better for those people who do melee. And I get that, I really do. But I enjoy this so much. I enjoy the Lost Sinner for the fact it does feel like a dance of sorts while fighting it. And when I said I dislike one boss, I was lying. Kind of like how From Software lies when you go into a boss arena and you think you're only fighting one. I dislike when you have to fight multiple bosses / multiple enemies as a boss. I find it really annoying, and I don't like it. You know, examples of this in like Dark Souls 2 are Prowling Magus and Throne Watcher and Defender. Don't get me wrong, they're not difficult fights. They're just not very fun. And I think that's an issue with all of the From Software games with multiple bosses or multiple enemies as one boss. It just doesn't make for a fun fight. I personally really despise it in Dark Souls 1 with Ornstein and Smoke. And I know, again, people love those bosses. They're great. To me, they're just really annoying. And I get the same issue with it in Dark Souls 2 with some of the bosses. So I don't like it for that reason. I don't like multiple bosses being disguised as one. It just doesn't work for me. And it's an issue I have with From Software and their games in general. This isn't a rant video about why From Software is bad. I actually really like their games, but this is an issue that I have with all of the games, and I think it's a clear point to make while explaining why I believe Dark Souls 2 is the best. And, you know, there's multiple other reasons I could talk about. I could talk about the NPCs, the quest lines, just more about the game design and the area design and how everything just works together to make a really cool and interesting dark fantasy environment for me. How it's all so eerie and it's just perfect for me. But because I don't want this video to be a 12-hour long rant, no hate to people who make those long videos, it's very impressive, but I couldn't. I'm just going to say why the other two games are worse, in my opinion. And Dark Souls 1, it's really easy for me to explain this. I think it's far easier to get ganked, and I find the bosses to be a lot clunkier than any of them in Dark Souls 2. Right? I think it's far less enjoyable when you're trying to explore and you're just going to get pinned against multiple enemies. You just can't do stuff at times. And the bosses don't hit as well. I'm sorry, guys. They're not very good. Some of them have got some, you know, pretty cool fights, but a lot of them just aren't that interesting. I'm sorry, guys. You know, hate me all you want, but this is a valid criticism in my opinion. And then for Dark Souls 3, I just don't like linear gameplay. Well, I do like linear gameplay, but I don't like the linear gameplay of Dark Souls 3. I think Dark Souls as a trilogy does this really well in 1 and 2, where you can kind of go off in whatever directions you want, at least for the beginning of the game, and that allows you to really explore and experience the game differently. People will experience the game in very different styles depending on what they decided to do. Well, Dark Souls 3, you don't have that. Everyone kind of has the same journey forward. And yes, this could be some sort of metaphor for how, you know, simple and focused the mission is, but I don't like that. I think it's it's not a very interesting way to do it. Right? But, like, as a whole, I really love Dark Souls 3. If you guys want to hear me do a Dark Souls 3 why I love the game type video, I will gladly do that because it is arguably one of my favourite games of all time too. But it's just not better than Dark Souls 2. I said it here first, guys. I'm correct. You guys are wrong. Just need to make that clear. And then, for all of the games, I really enjoyed them all. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I've kind of shot on Dark Souls 1 and 2 here at the end. 3 even, 1 and 3. But I do really enjoy the games. I'd rate all of them as 7 and higher. Yeah, out of 10, you know. But Dark Souls 2 for me just has to be the best of the 3. Arguably, it's because I bias and stuff, but it is just better. And yeah, some people will argue, no, not really, but it's better for me. And if you guys have enjoyed this very long rant while watching PvP, please consider liking and subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. Comment down if there's any games you want me to try. But if you don't want me to try any games, that's fine too. But I will see you next time if any of you guys want to watch more of my stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll be honest, guys, I didn't really expect to still be in a fight by the end of the recording. I thought I'd be over with one. That's kind of annoying. I'm just going to speak here for a bit. Thanks for watching, obviously, like I said, and it really means a lot to me when you guys support. I comment, I like and comment on everyone who comments on a video. So even if you don't like my stuff, if you just like and comment just to see it, that'd be nice. But thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy other of my stuff.